In this finale of our series of BCO Sundays at 3 videos, we'll hear from Alexander Shtarkman, soloist next season in Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5, The Emperor. Russian pianist Alexander Shtarkman was awarded first prize at the 1995 Busoni International Piano Competition, and other awards include major prizes at the 1989 Van Cliburn International Piano Competition and at the 1994 Tchaikovsky Piano Competition, in addition to first prize in the first Taipei International Piano Competition. Mr. Shtarkman has appeared with orchestras and as recitalist around the world and across the U.S. Most impressive, he was cited by James Keller of The New Yorker. Shtarkman's was a debut recital of importance. In fact, debuts just don't come much better than this. Of the young pianists currently entering the international spotlight, Shtarkman is unquestionably among the most musicianly. Welcome, Jonathan Palevsky, in conversation with Sasha Shtarkman.
Yeah. So, Alexander Shtarkman, welcome. It is very nice to see you.
Thank you so much for having me today.
You grew up in Moscow. You went to the Moscow Conservatory. Tell me a bit about who you studied with.
Yes, that's correct. I was born in Moscow to a musical family. I went to Moscow Conservatory and I studied there with Professor Sergei Dorensky.
Are you related to Naum Shtarkman?
Yes, he's my father.
Uh-huh. Okay. And so this is a serious musical family and serious pianists.
Thank you. Yes, yes. And my father was quite famous, I should say very famous, in Russia for many decades. And when he was allowed to leave Soviet Union and go abroad, unfortunately very late at the end of his life and the end of his career, he became more and more known on the West, and he made a few recordings and even a few recordings in the United States.
He did not have an easy life in the Soviet Union.
No, he did not. Nevertheless, he was serving his art religiously and he never stopped, and he played piano for all his life until the very last breath that he made. And that shows the dedication, devotion, love, passion, and service.
There must have been recitals of yours that he came to that he must have seen something or commented. There must have been some, I would assume, special moments between the two of you. You both grew to an incredible level of expertise in this field.
Well, thank you for saying this. Yes, rarely he would be completely happy, which at that point I sometimes did not understand, but now I do, and very much understand that. But yes, there were some times that he would come to my performances and we would have conversations. Sometimes would agree, sometimes would disagree. But I'm grateful for that.
How was your life in the Soviet Union?
It's a fair and interesting question. Well, life seems wonderful when you're young.
No question. So you came in 2002. I'm curious about what it was like to arrive at Peabody for the position on faculty at piano and to have Leon Fleischer as a fellow pianist on faculty.
Thank you for asking this. It's the right time, and I really feel that I would like to say a couple of words about this. That was really an enormous feeling to not only have Leon Fleischer on the faculty as the colleague, but have him literally next door. The first year that I arrived, I was supposed to play a Prokofiev Concerto number 2 with Leon Fleischer conducting. That was the first task
Wow.
on my agenda. It's hard to describe my feeling when I learned, and I had to learn this concerto. I've never done that before. So I learned it specifically for this date. Yeah, it's hard to imagine the feeling when I had to enter his studio and play for him before we went to the first rehearsal uh, with the new piece. That's very special. And one last thing that about this performance, I have to say that during the first movement, and it has this incredibly long and elaborate and powerful cadenza. During this cadenza, one of the keys broke,
Wow.
which was right in the middle of the keyboard, and it was quite distracting. And we didn't know what to do and whether we should go on or. And we talked, we had a little conversation right on stage after the first movement. And then I said that we will just have to go on. And there are 87 more keys to use. And that's how he remembered what I said. And he sometimes would repeat this.
Nice. I would love to talk about the Emperor.
Emperor, with its peculiar name, in a way, in many ways, is at the end of something. It, I think it has a lot of invention. It has a lot of new, never ever before done things. And at the same time, it signifies in some way ending at that point. And probably that's the reason of that nickname as the exclamation point to the whole genre. We can see how things developed if we see it 5 concerti at this cycle that we will present. The emperor, I think, deserved his nickname for a reason. And even the first chord of the first movement of the orchestral chord, with this maestosum and magnificence of this opening of this, and opening cadenzas of piano, that is probably a new word in the whole genre. That I think sets it apart. Maybe not only in Beethoven's concerti, but maybe in concerti in general, as every concerti for piano. There is something very special about this concerto. And even the choice of tonalities as when the second movement, when it starts, we really transcend to a different universe. And I'm sure that that's how it, I mean, I can only guess, but I think that that's the idea, to go as far, seemingly as far as possible from the main key, and yet it takes only half a step to return to the last movement, to the, again, original key. This is such an incredible, again, maybe not invention, but solution and finding, which really makes us wonder in the beginning of this word, of this genre. In some way meant a competition, and between the orchestra and the soloist, and there was always a question, who is who? And in this concerto, I think that with this beginning, which is such a significant detail to this, probably it sets 2 equalities on stage, 2 equal partners, as you know, instead of being in competition. I think from the very beginning, it begins with mutual
Equality.
equality. Yes,
Equality.
yes.
Yeah. I'd love to speak a bit about Franz Liszt and Rhapsody Espagnole, which we'll have tape of you playing.
This is such a figure. That's such a tremendous figure, and he is only 2 steps away from Beethoven through Czerny.
Right.
So there is this, of course, never-ending, not stopping flow of events of those figures that appear and make connection through history. And we look back and we see that there are not too many stops back there until then, to that point. And yes, Liszt is Clara Schumann, Clara Wieck, once remarked in her diary. She said that you can always recognize Liszt even if he plays behind the doors. You can always say that that's Liszt. We can only guess what she meant by that, but I think it's quite revealing that there was no one near him the way he was about the keyboard, about the piano, about the music, and about there are many memoirs of him playing, and there are some funny ones, and there are some interesting ones, but everybody agrees that there was no second pianist like him.
With Liszt, there's lots of hand crossings and acrobatics, and do you wonder? I mean, were these written for all pianists or for his hands?
Oh, I think that some of it was even improvised, and of course, it all came from his hands. And
Yeah.
for him, there was no limit. That's why it's also hard for us, because for him it was nothing was limiting him. So he would just sit and improvise, and it would come out as those acrobatic cascades of thirds and octaves, and those brilliant passages that he would just move his fingers and it would all be there. And for us, it takes hours and hours and maybe years of work. But I think that some of it, if not all of it, came, I think, especially for piano and for voice, would come just like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to add before we go? Anything on your mind you'd like to share?
I don't know what else to say. I'm grateful to the audience that will eventually be able to come to a live performance. I'm grateful to the opportunity when it will come that we will have live performances again. And I want to say, I don't know when it will be aired, but I want to say to everybody that I wish everybody good health, so everybody can stay safe and healthy.
Thank you. Alexander Shtarkman, it's been a pleasure for me. Very enjoyable to discuss so many fascinating things. And now we have the pleasure of hearing you play the LISZT Rhapsody Espagnole.
this brings us to the close of our series of videos that we've been calling BCO Sundays at 3. And while we've all enjoyed producing them, and while we know so many of you have enjoyed them, the only BCO Sundays at 3 that we're interested in are the ones that we'll be giving on stage at Kraushaar Auditorium next concert season. Please have a wonderful and safe summer, and we look forward to seeing you there.